I'm here with Matt of Caskets to talk about Reflections. A new record drops August 11th on Sharp Tone Records. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. How's things going with you?
No, thanks for having me, man. I'm really good. I'm really good. It's a nice sunny day today for a change. So yeah, it's been a good one.
So let me start off by asking you this. What is the biggest growth and change when you look at the debut record and you look now at this sophomore album?
I think the biggest growth is us being able to communicate a lot better as a band. Because in the first album, it was the first ever time we'd gone through that process together. Do you know what I mean? So we learned a lot about each other. We know how to like wind each other up now, how to chill each other out. So it opened up a much more of an open, more vulnerable dialogue towards each other. So I think that's the biggest change. We can open up a lot more with each other musically, and I think that's come across a lot more on this album.
Do you see also a growth musically within those changes?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, thanks to being able to communicate like that now. I mean, it's helped us. Like now our drummer James can come to me with some lyrics or a melody for a song, and he won't feel silly doing that. Do you get where I'm coming from? Whereas in the first album, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So because we've been able to interact like that now, we've been able to add a lot more of a lot more of our own influences into the music. So we tried to take everything that was in Lost Souls, like that Caskets sound, as to say, and then just try and build on that with more synths and like 80s vibes and stuff like that.
What about vocally for you? Do you see a progression from one record to another? Was this album more challenging than the previous record? Where does it fall for you?
I think writing this album was a lot easier for me because in the first album it was everything was written about my past and what I've been through and stuff like that. Whereas with this album, it's everyone's story. It's about all of us. That's why we called the album Reflections, because we wanted it to reflect each song to reflect on one time or something that one of us has been through before in the past. Singing wise, I think these songs are a bit easier to sing than the first album. But if it was just up to me, it wouldn't have been. Like a lot of the melodies got changed and moved around and stuff like that, because I've come to learn that you don't need to be belting everything out as loud and as high as you can for it to still sound good or for people to still, be interested in it. So yeah, I also think I'm a bit more what's the word? I'm not scared to try different things now with my voice. Like we're even talking about the third album now, so I want to try doing so many different things, like probably seeing what some rapping might sound like, or a bit more screaming, or trying some different elements like dubstep and stuff like that. But yeah, singing wise, I feel like I'm a lot more in my comfort zone with this album.
You mentioned the synths. There's definitely a change in sound. I felt like this record is a little bit more textured than the previous album. The previous album, a little bit more streamlined. This one, there's a lot more layers for you to peel as a listener in order for you to get to really the essence of the record itself. Do you find that this album has a defined catalyst that pushes the album forward consistently across each and every single song?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said before, this album was written by all of us. All aspects of the album was written by all of us. So like I said, James did some vocals and some melodies. I did some guitar, Benji did some bass and stuff like that. So I think that has now become the baseline for where we go in the future. Now we know that we can have this even more intimate and open dialogue with each other. I feel like the sky's the limit, especially for the next album. I just can't wait to be able to get all these ideas out down in the studio and see where it takes us.
Was there something that Lost Souls didn't quite reach, at least in terms of the milestones and in terms of the bar that you guys set for yourselves before you release a record? Was there something that that record didn't reach that became perhaps that catalyst for these changes coming into the second album?
No, dude, I personally think that first album did as well as I could have ever expected it to do. We weren't expecting the reaction we got from that album, I'm not gonna lie. So it did actually put the pressure on for this album, because we wanted to make sure that this sophomore, because loads of bands flop on the sophomore albums, don't they? Let's be honest. And we obviously didn't want to be one of those bands. So we knew that we needed to take everything from that first album, and then just like you said, just add layers and add layers and add layers, and try different ideas and different techniques, just to try and find something that put us apart to everything, to every other band that's in and around us. I mean, obviously it's not a competition, but you want someone to hear one of your songs and be like, that's Caskets instantly. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I was worried with this album because, like you said, it is quite different to the first one, and we made our sound from the first album. So I was worried about it, and like I said, it gave us a lot less time to do this album because we was doing a lot more touring and stuff like that. Whereas in the first album, we was in lockdown and stuff. So yeah, man, I was quite worried about it, especially with the demos, because not all of the demos were finished or anything like that. So yeah, man, I was shitting bricks. I was. But yeah, when we got to the final, like once we'd done the final song, like, right, that's it, we're done. I was happy with it, man. But I'm one of those guys that no matter how awesome I think it is and how much I love it, I'm always going to worry until I hear other people's reactions from it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you need that reassurance.
Yeah, exactly. Like many a times I've written a song and I've gone to a friend and I'm like, dude, you need to listen to this song. It's the best song I've ever written. And my friends are ruthless, mate. Like ruthless. So they're like, nah, dude, you're chatting shit. This is whack. Go and write something else.
But
So
those are the
yeah,
friends that you need. They keep you grounded and they keep it real, and they're not just pumping your tires.
yeah. Exactly, man. Exactly. I used to even test them, just for that reason. I used to like write a verse and a chorus, but it'd be absolutely crap. Be like standard boring for be like a I know, like an 80s acoustic song, just like fuck or just like, yeah, dude, that's sick, that's sick, that's sick. Like, no, you're lying. You know that you're lying. But yeah, you're right. You've got to have them people around you to keep you grounded and to keep you humble. And thankfully, I have some of the most brutal people in the world to do that for me.
So you mentioned that this album, from a lyrical standpoint, at least, it's not just on you. There was a little bit more of a collaborative aspect. So whose reflections are these? The group's reflections, individual
Yeah,
reflections?
all of it. So I'd say like there's 10 songs, so probably like 3 or 4 about things I've been through, etc. And the rest of the tracks were basically written by all of us. So I'd Benji'd write like a demo of music. I'd write some baseline lyrics, just to get like the idea of what we want the song to be about, the mode and stuff like that. And then we take that to the rest of the boys and we just strip it all away, strip it all back to its bare bones, and then rewrite it all with everything that's already there. Okay. And then we'd add all layers on top of that as well. So like we'd be like, man, this needs some synth now, and we'll try doing some synth lines and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, we'd all just be sat there, and we'd like, right, this song's about so and so, but there's only half a song. And then James would come back the next day and be like, I've written a verse like for this song. And I can remember the first time he ever did it to me, I read it and I was like, holy shit, this is really good. Like, because James, bless him, doesn't have a lot of words to say. So I was really surprised when he come out with these verses and stuff like that. But yeah, like you said, it's a reflection of something we've all been through. Like for me, one of the main ones was Silhouettes, and that's about my journey from like my old band. So like I was in a band called Silhouettes, and then that band split up and I didn't do anything for years and years and years. I just totally dropped music. and then I got asked to join it. I got asked to audition for this band. So that song is about like my journey between falling out of love with music and falling back in love with music. And it's kind of the same for a few of the other songs for the other boys. Yeah, I think you'd have to. I kind of don't want to go into detail about what those songs are about, because I don't feel like it's my place to sort of tell the world about the
Fair
meanings
enough.
behind them ones. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
But yeah,
And from that point of view, does that make it more difficult for you when it comes to performing? Because one thing is for you to sing the lyrics that you wrote, which you obviously have an emotional connection with. The other thing is to sing songs that have an emotional connection to somebody else who wrote it. I mean, they're your buddies, but still, it's
yeah.
not you. Does that create a little bit more of a difficulty for you vocally?
I don't think so, dude. No, I mean, when I go and sing on stage and stuff, I try and not think about anything. Do you know what I mean? I try and let my mind be completely clear. Because all the emotion that I give out or anything like that on stage is not normally already comes from the crowd. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it would. I mean, we've not really played these songs live yet off this album, but I don't think it will, because we sat down and spoke through each song, what each song was about. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, we learned how to we created this open dialogue with each other where we can now sit with each other comfortably and tell each other all the horrible shit we've all been through in our past and stuff like that. So I think that kind of gives me a gauge on where they would be emotionally performing the song. And on stage, you kind of vibe off each other anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like when we played Download, man, like I started rolling my eyes out halfway through the set, but only because I saw one of my best mates at the front of the crowd rolling his eyes out. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's a bit of both worlds. Like, I don't think I don't think that, like, you know, I break down in tears singing a song that's not really anything about my past or anything like that. But you've still got to put on a show and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And the songs, I still love the songs, and they mean just as much to me as I'm sure they do to them. I mean, they trust me to sing those words for them and stuff like that. So it's all a group effort, man. And if one of us is crying on stage, I'm pretty sure another one of us will be not long after. Because we're still new to this kind of thing, dude. Like, we played our biggest ever show a few weeks ago at Download, and it was like worlds away from playing in front of like 300 people. Do you know what I mean? So we're still getting used to playing these type of big shows and stuff. So yeah, man, like the emotion is always high when we go on stage.
You mentioned Silhouettes, the song, and the representation of you dealing with the journey between Silhouettes and Caskets. Have you had time to reflect on the journey within Caskets from across these two records and all the years that you've spent now with these guys?
I try, dude. Like I always try and take a step back and look at everything that we've done. Because let's be real, dude, like 5 years ago, I was in no fit shape to even be in a band, never mind be performing live and stuff like that. And I never thought I'd get here personally. Like, I always thought I'd be stuck to the local, you know, the local shows. So I always try and take a step back and take it all in, man. Like, it can be hard sometimes though, because everything's just so rush. You're on the go all the time. But yeah, man, like when we was in America, after every show, I went up to James and I'm like, dude, we've just played a show in Texas, in America, in front of hundreds of people, and we're from middle of bumfuck nowhere in England. Like what are we doing? Like, it's like imposter syndrome, dude. Like, we should not be here doing this, or like we are not. We felt like we weren't ready to be here doing this, but yeah, man, like we're extremely lucky and extremely grateful to be where we are, and we definitely never try and take that for granted.
I don't think the people of Leeds would agree with the bumfuck nowhere comment, but
Oh, dude. Well, yeah. I don't live in Leeds. I live just outside of Leeds, but like you've got Leeds and then there's bumfuck nothing around it, dude. Like then there's another city there, another city all the way over there.
All right, I get your point, and it's not like you have the footy team locally to really cheer you up lately either. So
Yeah.
there's that to pile on the whole depression. As an artist and as a vocalist, you mentioned things that you're already thinking about when it comes to the third album. Are you always looking at not just being good at what you're currently doing now, but adding layers to what you can do going forward, so that you can keep yourself excited and connected and be able to be even more creative?
Yeah, 100%, dude. I mean, that's to me, that's the scariest part about being in a band. I feel like you've always got to be thinking ahead. Like now we've album two's done for us. Like it's done. All that needs to be done is for it to be released now. So there's no point in us still dwelling on that. We've got to think what's next now. So album three. So yeah, like I said, we want to try so many different things for the album, but that to me makes it scary. To get where I'm coming from? Because I'm like, if we're gonna spend so much time, effort, money, blood, sweat, and tears writing these tracks, but trying something really different, like I don't know, like adding dubstep into it, or was going really heavy on one song or something like that. Those ideas are what makes me want to keep doing it. But those ideas are also the main things that make me absolutely petrified of the future. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, right, well, we're gonna do the next album, we're gonna try something really different and do all this and do all that. But then in my brain, in the back of my head, I'm like, what if they don't like it though? What if they don't like it, Matt? What if everybody fucking hates it? Do you know what I mean? And that's where my head goes, and then my head's spinning. And like I said earlier, that's why I need other people to like put me back in my chair and be like, you need to chill, dude. Like, just calm down. It's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. But in my head, like, there's fucking alarm bells going and the job lot, dude. So yeah, it's scary, but it's exciting at the same time. And I think probably that's the bit that I'm addicted to, I guess.
So when you have that going on in the back of your mind, how do you disconnect from it? How you disconnect from Matt the singer, the musician, the artist, to become Matt, just the dude that just wants to hang out and have a good time? Is it hard for you to change those hats?
I think so, dude. Like, I'm a worrier. I worry about everything all the time. Do you know what I mean? I like have anxiety and stuff like that. Um, but I try, like you said, the best thing for me to do is to keep it in the back of my head. It never goes away. So, but I think that's a good thing because it keeps you on your toes, and it's making you think about what you could do better the next time around, type of thing. But yeah, man, like I'm always worrying. Like I'm worried about the next single that's coming out. I'm still worried about this album coming out. I'm worried about going on tour next month to America. I don't know what I'm worrying about, but I just worry. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a scary environment to be in, and sometimes, especially when you're in your own head. But it's fun, man. Like I wouldn't change it for the world.
Do you spend any time on like considering that you worry and considering that you look for others' opinions in order to kind of reinforce where you are? Do you spend any time online reading people's comments? Like when you guys release a new single, there's going to be a video on YouTube. Sharp Tone Records releases the video. Are you going to be there the next minute, the minute after the video releases, to read the comments and like, what are these motherfuckers saying about me? Like,
100%, dude. Yeah. 100%, dude. Yeah. Well, I'm not as bad now. I used to be really, really bad when we first started releasing music, like really bad. And if I saw like one bad comment, that'd be fucking it. My day's done. Like oh no. But but yeah, it is what it is. Like I've finally come to the realization that, there's billions and billions of people on this planet. You can't please everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like you could write the fucking best song ever made, ever will be made, and there'll still always be someone there to knock it down. So yeah, man, I worry all the time about it, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? You've just got to get on with it. Like but there's nothing else you can do but just get on with it.
for whatever it's worth, I don't think you have anything to worry about this record. So for
Thank you.
Well, whatever I can do to calm those nerves down. I really fucking dig the album. I thought you guys did a great record. I love the
Thank
sound.
you.
I love the experience, and I thought vocally was super strong, very emotionally connected, very dynamic as well. It's a very dynamic album all around. There were some head scratching moments where I thought I was maybe listening to 98 Degrees, especially. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to
Yeah, I
give,
know what you mean.
but you know, like my wife was in the car and she's like, "What are you listening to? I thought you didn't like boy bands." And I'm like, "It's not a boy band. I mean, technically it is a bunch of boys, but it's not." So
She's right, dude.
she judged me. She judged me.
I can come to terms with that, dude, but I don't think the rest of the other boys would. Like, yeah, I don't think they'd like that whatsoever.
Yeah, her judging me in the car wasn't positive, even though my ideas on the album and my perception of the record was super. I honestly, I really loved the record. I really did.
Thank you, dude.
And but that was a fun interaction with her because it took me a little bit of time to explain to her what was going on, and then I think she started paying attention to the rest of the album and the rest of the tracks to see if I was just pulling her leg or if I was like being real with her. Last question for you. The album drops August 11th, Sharp Tone Records. So you mentioned a tour of the US. What's happening with you guys? How are you guys going to support this album?
So luckily we're on the 10th anniversary of the Hollow Bodies tour with Bless the Fall, and that's we start that on the 3rd of August, and then the album comes out on the 11th, obviously. So we're absolutely cacking our pants about that because we've never been away from home while we've released something. Do you know what I mean? So we feel like it's going to be all hands on deck then. But yeah, man, we've got a few Australia shows before that in a few weeks. Then we go to America for 6 weeks. We play that tour, and then at the end we play Blue Ridge Festival, which is like a really big festival in America, I'm told. And then yeah, we get back. We'll probably have a bit of time off, and then hopefully at the end, towards the end of the year, we're looking at trying to get a headline tour up and running to basically an album release tour, because we never got to do that. We never got to do a tour of the first album, obviously because of COVID. So yeah, fingers crossed all these tours go well. I don't drastically hurt myself again and I'm not in hospital for God knows how long. And yeah, we can get back out to England and EU and play some of these new songs as well.
Well, I wasn't aware that you guys had that tour in the US. I'm in Canada, but normally when tours come in, they play a couple of shows like Toronto, Montreal, that kind of stuff. I'm in Toronto. So I got to check out the press release to see if there is a Toronto date, unless you're checking.
Yeah, there is, sir. There's Toronto, Montreal. Toronto is the 14th.
All right, I'm going to mark it on my calendar. So I'll see you in Toronto.
Yeah, man. I hope so. Come and say hi and we'll have a beer, yeah?
I will. I'll see you in Toronto. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Pedro. You have a good one, yeah?
Take care, man. Bye.
See you later, bro.